It is the third Wednesday of the month on this 18th day of November. I don't know why, but I'm a little snuffed up now out of nowhere. Lisa Webb has saved my day yet again. And we have a celebrity guest in studio. Who's with us?
What's your name?
Eleanor.
Eleanor Craniac. Eleanor is the 8th grandchild.
Wow.
Yes, going down the list. She's the youngest girl out of all the grandkids, but she's the 8th in the row. How old are you, Eleanor?
4.
She's 4. And you're Momo's helper today, right? Yeah.
Well, I see her writing your notes out for us, so that's
She
good.
is, yeah. She's all about real estate. She knows the drill, don't you? Yeah.
Well, Lisa, I mean, this is a really cool segment because, you know, normally we talk about, like last month was real estate safety. And I thought that was really insightful because a lot of us don't really know what you guys go through on a day in and day out basis for a lot of your jobs and a lot of your responsibilities.
Yeah.
But then, you know, just talking to you a little bit today about some of the other issues that you face because, you know, let's be honest, I think the public thinks real estate agents just smile and pose for the picture, but there's a ton more that you have to deal with each and every day. And, you know, how do you think we should start this off?
Well, you know, I thought it was interesting because last week I was, and if you go to my Facebook page, I'm sure you'll find it, but last week I was all over the place driving. So I had to go to Vandalia, I had to go to Alton, I had to go to Bethalto to do pictures of all of the different foreclosure properties that we have to handle. And so as I'm driving down the road, all of these thoughts are going through my head. And so my Facebook post was something like the thoughts that myself and Lisa Webb, realtor, have when I'm driving the road. And it was like things like, oh, I got to do a cash for keys tomorrow. I hope they're ready. Oh, I have to go and take pictures of this new foreclosure. I hope nobody's squatting in the house. And then I'm driving going, wow, these farmers are really busy. There's a lot of farmers out there. And then I looked in the mirror and went, oh, shoot, I really need to color my hair. And so you're on the road and you're just driving and you're thinking of all of these people and these things and life.
Yes.
And when you're a real estate agent, there's more to things than just, here's your keys, CJ, congratulations, and it's bells and whistles and unicorns. There's more things that happen in society that happen to people. And I think those, for myself, those are a lot of the main reasons why I niche where I niche with the short sales and the foreclosures. Nobody wants to do them. It's not pretty. You don't make a ton of money, if any, sometimes. I'm going to be closing on an auction property in Beneld coming up at the end of the month, and I'm going to walk away with maybe $500. But somebody has to do it.
You're right.
You know,
Yeah.
and somebody has to have the compassion and the heart to be able to handle that kind of stress that comes into play. So we can take this segment and we can go in 2 different directions.
Okay.
You pick which one and I'll guide you through it and discuss it.
By the way, you were speaking of keys. I still haven't gotten that one underneath my desk.
It's going to be there
Swear,
forever.
I'm telling you. But you know, I like the direction of life happens because you know a lot of times we don't realize, and I'm sure this happens where you know everyone's happy because they got the keys and they're walking in and here's the house. Well, then life doesn't stop for your purchase, unfortunately.
Right.
And so you know, I guess we'll go that avenue with it if that sounds okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So the life happened. You bought this house, and now we'll take the first scenario where we're trying to avoid the short sale. Let's go that route.
Okay.
So where you bought the house, everything's great, life happens, and now here you are, something happened. Your main life happening events are loss of a job, getting married, getting divorced, death, relocation, those type of things. So some of those things are out of our control. We can't control those. So what are you going to do when those happen? So say, for example, you lose a spouse and now you're down to one income. And there's a lot of times where you have this big house because you're a couple, you're a married couple, you have a family, your family is growing. Now they're grown, now they're gone. Now your spouse is gone. Now you have this big house. Your house isn't paid for. It's a lot to handle. You got to pay taxes, you got to pay bills, so forth and so on. You get behind. Somebody gets laid off, whatever the case is. So you get behind 1 month and you think it's okay. You try and catch up and then you pay a little bit. And then before you know it, it's 2 months and then it's 3 months. It is so easy to get behind quickly. It is so hard to get caught back up.
How many times, and it is kind of a silly question, but how many times have you heard well, I just never thought it was going to happen to me?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. That's just, people think it's going to go away. You're getting the letters, being told, hey, you're behind. The phone calls stop or start calling constantly. I don't know how many people out there in the real world have ever got behind on a bill. I have, especially when my kids were little and we were a growing family on CNA incomes. We didn't make very much. We were a family of 5. We would get behind. There's nothing worse than having those bill collectors call and call and call and call. They don't stop. They're doing their job. I get it. But that's very stressful for somebody. So it's very easy for somebody just to push it aside.
Yeah, well, that's what I did for the longest time.
Yep, push it aside.
Hang up the phone.
It's going to go away. And then before you know it, you're going into foreclosure. So with the short sale, before you get to the foreclosure and you miss 2 payments, 3 payments, you need to call somebody. You can call an attorney. I'm not an attorney, but you can call an attorney, or you can call somebody like me who has this experience and this knowledge and call me and say, my name is Sally Joe. Here's what's happening. Can you come and talk to me about my house? Give me a market value, see where I'm at, see how much it's worth. Here's the payoff that I still owe. If you purchased a house between, say, 2014 to 2016, chances are in 2023 going into 2024, you have equity in your home. If you have equity in your home, you don't even technically would have to do a short sale because, thank you, honey, because you have enough to pay off that loan and walk away without having it go into a short sale or foreclosure. Wow. So even if you didn't and we did a short sale, you have the opportunity to get relocation funds that could help you go to rent a place. You also keep that from going foreclosure on your credit statement.
Right.
So short sale isn't the best as far as credit. When you go, to rent something else, they're going to say why. You're going to have to explain. However, you are paying off. Your bank agrees to a loan, so you're paying them off.
Yes.
Okay. So those are the things that I cannot stress enough to homeowners. Call me. Let's sit down and talk about it. I've been there. I've done it. I understand it. I'm compassionate enough to know that this is a very sensitive situation. It's very embarrassing. People are embarrassed and they don't want to talk to people. However, it's going to be a lot more embarrassing when you get to a situation that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. So if we can keep you from the situation that's coming up that I'm going to talk about and get you out of your home, let's do that before we have to have it go into foreclosure.
Well, and what you said earlier, I want to piggyback on, because I think at times too, especially with the way, and I'm not making I'm not casting a wide net here. It's not really stereotyping, but some people think, because we, we see our real estate agent, and smiling and, oh, look, I got this nice car and all. So whenever you call and go, and you have to make those conversations happen, I mean, it's like, what do I say? Because they don't understand my problem. This guy's in a $400,000 home and he's driving a Mercedes. But what I think's important is the fact that, Lisa Webb has been there. You just said it. I've been there and I've done it. And that's what I think is so...
Hey, see TJ's talking. You're not being a very good co-host.
We had to pause for a phone break, but we're back here.
But it's life.
That's life. And just like we're talking about today, you know, things happen. But I think it's so important to have a real estate agent or anybody that's just genuine. Because if you haven't been in that situation, and I have, where with the business where people are calling you 40 times a day saying we want our money, and they're knocking on the, you know, the proverbial door. Whenever you experience that, it's a different way to interact with people and make sure you're taking care of them. And I think that's why you're right. I mean, this is your niche. It's because of how genuine you are too. It's not this smile and look at this. It's well, I've been there. Let's see what we can do to fix this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's just something that I don't think people understand. It's not talked about, you know, and as it leads us into the foreclosure side of things, let's chat about that for a minute, because you talk about stereotyping and, you know, you see the different scenarios or stereotyping of the foreclosures, and, you know, people not working or paying, and, you know, maybe they're living off the system. That's not the case.
Right.
You know, and so, for example, we had to do cash for keys yesterday. I had to go and do a cash for keys on a home in Bethalto. And so what is cash for keys? So cash for keys is when a home reaches its foreclosure time, the seller works with an asset management company and they reach out to a realtor that handles foreclosures. So that would be me. And so then they say, we're at the point now where the house, I have to do drive-bys and see if they're vacant, if they're occupied, and do pictures and report back. So this particular house, they said, I need you to find out if it's occupied or vacant. So it's occupied. And I've been probably going to the house for about a month, 2 months, just doing drive-bys and taking pictures on the outside. I don't disturb anybody. I just go by and take pictures. And then once the bank knows that it's occupied, then the next task is you need to go and knock on the door and then offer them cash for keys. The reason for cash for keys is to help speed up the foreclosure process. So if a person willingly gives over the keys to the home and willingly takes out all of their personal items, then they can get a check to help them with relocation.
Who pays that? Is that the bank's
That's
check?
the bank.
Okay.
So the bank, because the bank doesn't want to foreclose either, but the bank also doesn't want the house to get tore up.
Right.
So we have two scenarios. We have a foreclosure in Alton that I just had to do a lockout on, and we have a foreclosure in Bethalto that I did a cash for keys. The one in Alton, the lady, I tried to get her to do a cash for keys and she couldn't do it. She has too much stuff in the house and she just couldn't commit to having the whole house emptied. So she left. And so then the house sits and it sits and it sits because we can't do anything until certain time frames come.
Gotcha.
Okay.
What are those, not to
So-
put you on the spot, what are those time frames?
So there's a variety.
Okay.
So there's 30 days for certain things, there's 90 days for certain things, there's 60 days for certain things.
Okay.
So, and those are all per Illinois law. You know,
Gotcha.
they're not just pulling them out of a hat. They're government guidelines of how you can go into, when you can go into a house, when you can change the keys. Did you make all the proper contact to try and reach these people, so forth and so on. So the house in Alton, the lady could not, she has too much stuff. She couldn't do it. So she left.
Okay.
So then now the house has to sit. And I go by and I take pictures. I'm not allowed to go in the house yet because it's still hers.
Right.
We haven't reached that process. However, the one time I went there, the neighbors stopped me and said, you know, everybody on the block has been in this house. So the neighbors have been going in, rummaging through things. And this is a nice area in Alton, so it's, you know, it's not stereotyping anything,
Right.
but they know she's gone. So they've been going in and talking and taking things, looking at things, and so finally I gave them my card and I said, well, it's trespassing.
Yeah.
If they do it again, have them call me, and I'll call the police. And it's a form of trespassing.
Well, and they're stealing that lady's stuff.
And yes, and so they are. They are technically stealing somebody else's stuff.
Right.
So eviction day comes, lockout day comes. I have my field tech guy, which is Grover. So
Right.
he, family run business. So he has to go and change the locks. I put no trespassing on the doors. Now, since she did not be able to do cash for keys, and the house is full of things, it has to sit for 30 days until the end of November for personal property. So I had to send her a certified letter. I had to send her one by regular mail, and I had to post it on the door. If you would like your things, you have until November 30th to come back.
Wow.
So that's a non-cash for keys. She could not do it. It's a foreclosure. She's already lost it. But she has one more last-ditch effort if she wanted to come and get
her things,
which the house is full of things. But if she wanted them, she would have taken them more than likely. So then you have the cash for keys. So you have another family who they said, yes, we can do this. Now this cash for keys is consisted of a dad, 2 small kids in, a very busy area. So everybody knows, everybody sees what's going on.
Yeah.
So we do the cash for keys. I go to the house, and the house is completely cleaned out like it should be. They're still working on the garage. So I told them, I said, I'll come back. I said, I need the garage done today, though. If not, today's the day. And if not, then you lose out on your cash for keys, because you have to have, today's the task. It has to be done.
Yeah.
And they were not fluent in English, so there was a communication barrier. We had to have a translator help translate what needed to be done. But then think about this. As you're driving by, here's the house. It's a very popular road in Bethalto, and all of their trash is sitting out by the curb, all along the curb, waiting. They'll do a pickup, a trash pickup, but everybody knows. I mean, they see me hanging signs. They, the no trespassing sign. They see my car. They see us changing the locks. They see all of this, their trash, their leftover stuff out front. So I don't care if you're English speaking or not, and there's kids involved. It's embarrassing.
It is.
And so when we go and we approach them, you have to do it as easily as possible, as soft as possible. You can't come in there just blazing going, this needs picked up, you missed that, you missed that. They're trying to take, I think they bought this house back in 2016, so they're trying to take everything that has been in this house since 2016 and try to get it out.
Well, and too, just on top of that, those kids, I'm sure if they're old enough, they have friends, and their friends are.
And kids are mean.
They are. And I'm not
kids are
joking.
mean.
Yeah.
So they don't know, and their house is just up the road from a bus stop. Oh. So people say, well, they deserve it, or people stereotype. They knew it was, yes, they do. So there's one way that I try not to get caught up in everything and say, it's not like I threw this on them.
Right.
I didn't say, today's the day, surprise, it's been coming. So that sort of helps me not get too emotionally involved.
Right.
Else I'd have all these people living at my house because they don't have anywhere to go. Because they do know it's coming. However, if those people would have reached out when things first started happening, then somebody could have gave them a path. They did reach out. They reached out to a company that said, hey, we're going to help you from losing your home. Mm-hmm. And this company was a scam. So these people were paying $500-something a month to this company that says, we are going to help you save your home. And it was already too late. So these people, this other company was taking their money. So the story to share today with that part of it is, don't accept help from somebody unless you know who they are. Reach out to somebody like myself that and say, hey, do you know this company? Can you tell me, is it too late? Because that company told them, do not respond to the bank. Do not open any of the letters that come from the bank. Do not give the bank any money, because all they're wanting to do is keep your money for the home. The banks don't want to foreclose.
No.
The banks are going to lose out just as much as the owner is.
Yes.
Because the banks have to come in now and they have to pay utility bills. They have to pay taxes. They have to pay people like my husband, who's a field tech, to come and change locks, to cut grass, to this one has a pool, to cover a pool. So they have to pay for all these people to do this. So a bank does not want to foreclose either. They want to help you save your home. But if it is too late, reach out to somebody before you get to the point where we have to have you put all of your belongings out to the street.
Well, and it's such a good point, the way that you think about this, because it's not like it's Czar Lisa that's coming in and picking the date that all this is happening. You're doing a job, and that's all it is. But, it's the way you do it.
Right.
And, I'm sure you could go out there like a drill sergeant and say, all right, 12:30, get up, go. But that's not doing anything.
Right.
And honestly, it goes to me, that's invaluable, because if you're treated like a human with some compassion during a very serious and kind of touchy time and embarrassing, you're going to remember that for a while, and remember that there are good people in bad times. And even though she was there to help us, the bank or whatever with that process, she treated me like a person.
Right.
And I think that goes above and beyond in those situations, over the little ins and outs and components that might go and turn into a gray area. I really do.
Right, exactly. And when you get into the circumstances, I know my husband had to do over the years when he's done evictions, he's had a few people where he's gone to do cash for keys, and they were tenants. They didn't know that the owner of the property, who is their landlord, was never paying the mortgage. So here they've been paying the landlord rent. The landlord who owns the property never paid the mortgage.
Way.
And then here he's knocking on the door going, sorry, you're going to have to leave.
Well, and then they think probably he's a scammer or something, because, we haven't heard anything. We've been paying our rent since, God built houses.
Yeah. And so then now he's having to explain to these tenants, here's what you can do. And there is some opportunity for money for you to do a cash for keys, even if you're a tenant. So if you're listening to the story and you come across to where your landlord did not pay the mortgage and somebody's knocking on the door and says, you got to get out, you don't necessarily have to get out until you can be compensated to get out. You have tenant rights. Again, I'm not an attorney, so don't, I got to disclose
no, you
that.
do.
There is tenant rights, but there is actions that you can take to get out and be able to have stuff to relocate yourself.
So and that's honestly a perfect segue, because I was going to ask you, what do you tell yourself as you're making that walk up to the house, if for cash for keys, or it's that, it's the date, what's that kind of mindset you put yourself in?
You'll have to wait. We're almost done.
Almost done.
So when you think about it, and you're sitting here like I have my granddaughter, and I'm walking up to this house. I know they have kids.
Yeah.
So you have to. This is a stressful situation, not only for the parents but for these kids. So you have to have yourself. It's sort of, you have to have some compassion. However, you also have to watch your back, because a situation, they can sell you a story.
Yep.
And you can be all compassionate and caring, and then before you know it, it can turn to a scenario where they're very angry, and you're the person that they're going to take that out on. So you have to be compassionate, but you also have to be able to read the signs. and pinpoint, okay, this isn't really going to go that way.
Right.
And I'm going to get here. And, like in this scenario, all the things that they were still pulling out of the garage, it could have turned into, you need to give me more time. I don't have time to get all of this out. And then I would have to be able to argue the fact going, it has to be done today, else it's nothing. And 5-foot me standing there going, it has to be done today or you get nothing. So you have to be able to communicate that back, all still while being compassionate, but knowing the sides. Does that compassion need to go away? Do we need to turn it to where, look, you knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Now you need to do it.
I can tell you're a pro by the way you just it was Lisa and then that was stern Lisa. I could feel that a little. But you're right though, it's compassion but being stern because unfortunately life has its rules and this is one of them and I'm going to treat you right, but here's what has to be done.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about I don't know what's the best way to kind of bring this up, but we were talking a little bit ago about an older home owner for the first time.
So it sort of goes into life is great. We bought a house and it's pretty and rainbows and unicorns, but then you have life. So I have an elderly lady that I helped purchase a home. And this was a home in Mount Olive, and she loved it. I hated it.
From the moment you saw it, you hated it. You did.
From the moment I saw this house, I was like, there's this house over in Bunnell that's totally redone. It's perfect for you. It wasn't perfect for her because it didn't have a garage. Yep. It didn't have a yard. So the house in Mount Olive was perfect. It was perfect for her.
Yep.
And so she was super excited when she closed on the house. And she didn't want to have a home inspection because of the cost. So we still did the home inspection just for peace of mind. We need to do it. And then I got this text the other day from my assistant at the office, Becca, and she was like, this person's name, house, fire. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world?
Right.
So here I call her back, and this poor lady hasn't even been in her house a full 3 weeks. I think it's 3. I don't even think she's been in there a month yet.
No.
And she had an electrical fire up in the attic, and it's gone. It's gone. And one of the first people she called was her realtor. Mm-hmm. So she knew, liked, and trusted me enough that she wanted to tell me what happened. She called me and she called the lender and said, what do I do? Where do I go? What do we need to get done? So the lender helped her get in touch with the insurance company, and then I helped her get copies of things that she lost and told her different things that the insurance company should help her reimburse for. I asked her if she needed any help. Did we need to get donations of clothes or anything like that? And she said no, she felt she was fine because she had things in the garage that did not get ruined or smoke smelled. So, those are the things that when you're in this industry, those bad things happen. Yeah. But if your client knows, likes, and trusts you, they're going to want to tell you those because they're looking for you for help. Where do I go? Yeah. Who do I call? What do I do? They're going to trust you enough to say, here's what you got to do first.
Well, and it goes back to what I've said time and time again about, especially what you're doing at 3rd Street is the advocacy. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't just stop whenever we sign that contract, we got the keys, we're smiling, life's good, I dropped one, none of that stuff. But whenever, the going gets tough, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't have a house fire, but I called Lisa my second day in the house. I said, my thermostat's broke. What do I do?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, call somebody and get it fixed.
Yeah, that's right.
But to be able to know that, and that's got to feel kind of special for you too. If, people are still trusting you enough, even we know your job's done, but we're calling Lisa.
And that's a good way to put it, because you're going to have agents out there that are be like, my job's done.
Signed it.
Sold them the house. I got my money. I'm out. I'm not doing nothing. And that's not who you want.
No.
You want that person that is going to say, what do I need to do? Yeah. And so it just happens, and you want to people to know that that's who you want to be able to focus with.
100% time and time again. Do you have your short sale guide out there with you?
Yeah.
How can people reach out to get their hands on something like this if they need it?
So if they can do it a couple different ways, but it is on my website. So there is a link up at the top where you can request this booklet underneath one of the tabs. Are you looking at the website?
Yeah, I'm on the website.
Okay.
now.
I think there's what's that big long tab?
This says, this is Third on Third Daily Show podcast. That's us.
I need to add more. but there is a tab. So if you go to my website and without seeing it, there should be a tab that you can get this, and you just put your name and email address, and you can get an email format of this.
Well, it's important.
So you can do that. You can always reach me on my Facebook page. So Lisa Webb, Third Street Realty Broker is my main Facebook page. For me as a broker, then I have Third Street Realty Facebook page. She's fine. And then my personal Facebook page, you can always reach me there too. But they can reach me by email as well. So if they email lisa.webb@thirdstrealty.com, they can get this book and request it as well.
Well, I wanted to bring that up because to me, that's one of those things you're never going to need to have it until you need to have it. You know, and it's just being preventative.
And it has all kinds of educational steps. It has all the parts of what happens in a short sale. Again, the goal is to sell the home before it gets to this.
Yeah.
But if we can't, then this is what has to happen. And it's going to go through everything that you need to have. Don't sing now. Wait until we go to commercial. And it tells you what type of documents, what happens, what do you have to authorize. It's a whole
really
gamut.
cool stuff. And I mean that. I've said that on the live read so many times, is that's a real comprehensive guide.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about, and it's just something I wanted to mention, because I've seen a lot more people that are flipping houses and buying investment properties or buying those. You have a nice option with Lisa, I think, to find that next one to work on. And I just wanted to ask you, do you have a few properties lying around that could use maybe I don't like to use the word flipper, but a DIY?
Yeah. Well, and there is a few that are out there that are on the market. So the Fidelity property is still on the market. The Godfrey over on Whitecliff is still on the market.
That has a lot of potential.
It does. I did have an investor call the other day, and I was fully transparent with him, though, and I told him, because he wasn't from here, he was from Florida, and I said, look, if you're wanting to fix and flip quickly, the margins aren't there. So that's another thing that you need to have in your agent. They need to understand those margins, because any agent can tell you to write an offer, but if your margin numbers aren't going to fit your plan, then don't write the offer. Now, if you want to fix it up and live in it and recoup some of that, absolutely. It can be so gorgeous.
It really could.
And the subdivisions, the houses there are 300,000 plus. And so it could very easily turn into something just really remarkable with the river and everything. But there's others coming up, and I have one in Vandalia that's getting ready to go back on the market. It was under contract. Sold as is. For some reason, that's really hard for people to understand. Sold as is. Don't ask for anything.
Because you ain't getting it.
You ain't getting it. And they asked, they ain't getting it. So now it's going to go back on the market. But, there's just opportunities. I have one in Macomb that I know it's not here locally, but if you're wanting to get into the rental scene, that one would be great, because you're right up there with the college that's up there, and you can use it as a rental. And I did talk to the building and zoning guy the other day when we were calling to check on things, and he goes, that's a really nice street. That'll be sure to sell quickly. It hasn't sold quickly, but building and zoning thinks it's on a nice street. So, for me not knowing all of Macomb, it could be great. So Macomb people go, that's a nice street. It should sell.
You should have put that on the listing.
I think that's a good idea.
Endorsed by Building and Zoning
says great opportunity, great street.
Well, and I just want to bring all this up because, Lisa, I talk about you every day on this show. I just talked, Tara Hurst was in here, and I was saying, well, one of my biggest supporters, she goes, and perfectly imperfect supporter too. It goes above and beyond. And I think everything you do in real estate reflects who you are as a person, because you're always there for the Bunker Hill community. And I'm not trying to say that to put you on a soapbox, but it's true.
Right.
You know, with the Chamber of Commerce, with the things you do as the treasurer, correct, with Bunker Hill, and the, you know, Park and Recs department. I wanted to ask you about the Halloween stuff coming up before I let you go, because, you know, this is, I think, the community efforts that you put on are part of Third Street Realty and who you guys are and who everybody is.
Yeah. So on the 30th, there is our trunk or treat that's held at the municipal building. We do have people inside at tables and outside. So depending, and we're still looking for vendors. So if you want to have a trunk or a table inside, reach out. We have plenty of space, but we will have lots of candy. We're all about the first responders.
Yep.
So I am a sponsor for the Fosterburg Pork Chop Dinner.
I saw that.
That's coming up. One of my dear friends, Michelle Price. I try to support them as much as possible. So same thing with Bunker Hill. So we'll have the fire department there. We'll have the ambulance there. We'll have, weather permitting, we'll have Arch fly in. I do have a gentleman coming down from the north that will have a train, and he'll give little train rides to the kiddos while they're there. So just a lot of opportunities for kids to come and have fun, and it's all free. You know, it doesn't cost them anything, and that's what it's all about.
Wow. Woo, hold on. Well, and by the way, I love the event. I just found your Macomb property, and I think that is
Macomb.
Macomb. Sorry, I thought I was in Georgia. But I mean, that is a nice property. I want to see if I can.
Yeah, you know, it's just real. It's a huge house, and it does sit on a basement. It has some great feel to it. It has some great woodworking throughout it. And you know, for the right person, it could really be turned into something pretty neat. It does have a few plumbing issues and some things that need to be taken care of. But you know, if you're a contractor, you know how to do that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's just stuff that you take care of on your own. But I think it's just something that I tell people. I love ugly houses because nobody else likes them. They don't talk back to me. They smell really great. But, you know, it's really gratifying to see somebody buy this and turn it into something else. And to close out, whenever I talk to people, you know, we all like to support small businesses, mom and pop businesses. That's what I consider us. We are a small business. We are not a franchise. We are not across the nation. We are here locally. We are a mom and pop ran business and an Eleanor run business. And, you know, this is who we are. We are your community. So whether you're buying a traditional house, selling a traditional house, selling acreage, buying acreage, commercial, whatever the case is, or if you need help with your short sales and your foreclosures, reach out to the local people.
Yep.
Reach out to the mom and pops, the small business that every dollar earned goes to the business here locally. It goes to family.
Yeah.
It just comes back.
And it goes back, and a lot of times, to the community. And that's the big thing. And I mean, time and time again, I've said it. At Third Street Realty, you are woman-owned, but you are family-operated. And the thing I stress the most is your family values matter. And whether or not you're a family of one, now two with Nico, or a family of 45.
Right. Good old Nico.
You're going to take care of us.
And absolutely.
You know, because we came in not really knowing, hey, what are we going to talk about today? But I love this because it shows that real estate and all that you do, there's a lot more to this.
There's so much more than just buying this $500,000 house. There's a lot more that goes into real estate that hits people in the hearts. That has meaning, and we want people to know about that. You know, we want people to know that if you're struggling, call us. We'll walk you through what needs to be done or what can be done. Again, we're not an attorney, so if you need an attorney, we will be up front and tell you, you need an attorney.
Right.
But we will help you answer any questions. We will be completely confidential. We will not share anything. We will be fully transparent and keep your feelings in mind.
That is just incredible. And Lisa, I couldn't agree more because the way you treated me, I didn't feel like I was, some number. Hey, I'll call you next Tuesday. You were there
Right.
every step of the way.
Yeah.
And I got one last question for Eleanor over there.
Eleanor, you got a question. He's going to ask you a question.
Hold on, I got to fix your microphone. It popped on me. Ready?
Yeah.
What are you going to be for Halloween?
What are you going to be for Halloween?
A spider.
A spider.
A spider? A nice spider or a bad spider?
Nice spider.
I like it. Are you going to be at the trunk or treat, Eleanor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. With that being said, Lisa Webb, we've done it again for 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And you can see Lisa Webb at the Trunk or Treat in Bunker Hill with Eleanor, the nice spider. And with that being said, Lisa, seriously, I just can't thank you enough for all you do here because it is important. You aren't, this franchise that's gotten, a stipend to come on and talk. You're doing this because you really want to educate people.
Right.
And I highly encourage you to give this number 248.
Nope.
That's the one that's on your website.
Well, that one's linked to the website. So that's a tracking one. So the 618-650-8787 is the office number.
Okay.
Or they can always reach me on my cell at 618-407-2513.
There you go. Or if you just want to check out the informational resources, the listings, and so much more, thirdstrealty.com. That's thirdstrealty. Eleanor?
What?
.com.